So let's say, you know, like you animate your character and he's walking. So you got this walk cycle. Then you can take this block and you can stretch it, you can cycle it, and then after that you just apply this action that belonged to the first guy to all the others. Like 100 characters, an army of characters. And then what is great also is that you've got all these little goodies on the side where you can just, you know, like say, okay, well, number 56 kind of older, so we want him to have this little band, you know, like this and walking like this. The software is going to take it and it's going to apply it onto all the characters. I think it's really fantastic. It's going to hit hard when it goes out.
Performance was our concern since day one.
The Sumatra architecture is going to afford a level of flexibility that people haven't seen out of Softimage products before.
One thing that we really tried to focus on was being general in terms of the tools and concepts to make things easier for people to use across all tool sets. Everything that you do from the user interface can be done through scripting.
Sumatra is going to cook because it's built on top of an architecture which makes it very simple to plug in new tools. It's entirely flexible. You say, give me a new parameter, you get the parameter showing up on a property page with scripting ability, with animation. People are going to love it.
Nonlinear animation is a way of animating, sort of a new way of animating, where you have blocks of animation which you can then reposition, cut, scale, do all those operations in sort of a similar way you would on a video or an audio nonlinear editor.
So for doing things like transportable animation, it's going to be pretty powerful, I think.
Sumatra is packed with features for performance.
Time.
Sumatra for rendering is a huge advanced technology.
We finally reach what we were trying to reach a few years ago, interactive rendering.
All the information you need is displayed right in front of you and it's easy access. Like for passes extremely great invention. I think it's really good. Everything's done basically in one scene.
You can just see exactly what you're doing all the time, and what you're doing is actually what it's going to end up looking like. So you're always working on the final kind of image, and that's really good for an artist.
Sumatra is going to be good for interactive media development. For one, because of the animation mixer, which is a tool that really increases the kind of character animation productivity and the kind of things you're able to do directly in the package, non-destructively.
By reverberation. It also provides powerful scripting, which will allow people to basically prototype some form of behavioral.
With the scripting amongst the other technologies, it really makes that something that is in the hands of all the artists.
I've seen animators writing scripts to do things that I couldn't even dream of, and they're really amazed by what they can achieve, and that makes me feel really good. We went with scripting languages that are already out there.
I'm really putting all my guts into this software.
Sumatra.
It's my own birth there of the software, so I'm so anxious to see it out there and see people use it and make great things and sit in the theater and look at the big screen and go, they made this with my tools.
I'm a very intense person.
Actually, it's the global approach to modeling in Sumatra that offers the advances that will be interesting. GAP is a good example of that, the generic attribute painting. It allows you to do anything you could do with a paintbrush. Select a little piece, select a big piece, just point and click on it, pull something out, push it away, stretch it, make it jiggle. It's that kind of generic approach to the tools where you can use any particular tool on any particular underlying topology. That's the kind of thing that really makes modeling interesting in Sumatra.
My favorite feature in Sumatra is the K key.
Render tree because it's really cool.
Scripting.
Animation mixing.
Import from SI 3D button.
It's not so much my favorites, but I want these to be the user's favorites. It has to be the nose meshes, that's for sure.
Take a product that is so well known, for which the user interface, the workflow is considered one of the best in the world, and to have to rebuild a product that goes even better. It's like you're the fastest man on the world and you still need to beat your own record, so it's quite a big challenge.
Sumatra really taking it a step further by introducing very high levels of control, nonlinear animation, interactive rendering that really enable new levels of productivity, and this is what makes the product truly unique.
You'll be able to do virtually anything with Sumatra.
Thanks for them. It's really a great bunch of people to be working with. So what's the big deal about Sumatra? Well, the first thing, and you had seen this slide before, courtesy of the Magic Mouse, we've been carefully studying the way the industry is evolving. And the thing that is the most striking to us is the growing magnitude and complexity of the work that is expected from our users, from you. The current generation of tools, whether it be Softimage 3D or other tools, won't fit the bill when the time comes to deliver the amount of high-quality 3D animation that will be required by both the traditional narrative media industry, film and television as we know it, as well as the new interactive and emerging interactive media industry, the web, and the next generation gaming consoles. The presentation we're having today are a perfect illustration of that trend. Star Wars Episode 1 contains over 2,000 special effects shot, and we already know that George Lucas and ILM will be pioneering a fully digital movie production pipeline for Episode 2. Manex and Blue Sky have reached new levels of visual complexity and produce effect that we had never seen before. Sega also has produced an innovative and amazing game. Real-time 3D rendering mixes role-playing and fighting genre by fully leveraging rendering capabilities of next-gen gaming console like Dreamcast. No pre-rendered movies anymore, all interactive, it's really amazing. This is a clear indication of the rapid convergence of narrative and interactive media. Today, we see 3D everywhere. In almost any content creation project, you will find 3D. Even occasional users are expected to produce 3D content just like they're expected to paint or to come up with 2D graphics, and Sumatra addresses all of that. Furthermore, there is a huge cost pressure. You guys know that. Very few companies can escape it. Not only are you required to produce an order of magnitude more, but you're also expected to do so in a tighter and tighter budget. With the evolution of the price of hardware and software, the bulk of the cost now of producing now relates to people. The cost of training and the level of expertise required to produce certain tasks has become a critical component of your business. So, what the hell is Sumatra? We've been using this code name for quite a long time now, and I want to highlight the various things that we mean by Sumatra. First, it is a platform that we share with DS. It's ready for tight integration of 2D and 3D workflow. It's also an architecture that's geared towards performance. It's an open environment that will allow you to customize it and build pipelines easily out of it. It's a brand new data model that will enable collaborative workflow, as well as a rich and deep tool sets for modeling, animation, rendering, and compositing. So let's review each of those quickly before we jump into the demo. The platform. We have built a platform that is capable of handling all types of media elements. You've seen how we use it to do audio and video editing with DS, and Sumatra uses it for 3D animation. This framework is extremely powerful and allows for fast-paced development. Moving forward, you can expect to see a lot more sharing between 2D and 3D, not only of data, but also of components or even entire tool sets, resulting ultimately in a nicely integrated 2D, 3D production environment pipeline. So, the architecture. Sumatra features an innovative graph-based architecture, don't worry. It's not a SIGGRAPH course, I'm not going to go into the detail here, but I just want to highlight some of the benefits of that. First, Sumatra is a command-based system. It gives you consistency and predictability throughout the software. And also, Sumatra is based on a handful of generic mechanisms to deal with objects, properties, operators, making it very intuitive and very easy to understand. Powerful features, such as the ability to move around stacks of operator, animation clips, or even an entire set of rendering attributes from characters to character, come as a result of this architecture. And of course, it has performance built in at the core. As you will see throughout the demo, the Sumatra architecture will really give you an infinity of combination as well as straightforward access to all functionality. Pipelines, an open environment. For lack of a better word, I would qualify Sumatra as a real and first pipeline development environment. And we look at the way you guys work, and we've noticed that there are several aspects to a pipeline. First, at each stage, we find people with vastly different skills, and that's very important to address. You need a tool that can adapt to that. Different tasks get performed. Some require automation, some not. Some require custom programming, some does not. But all of them are pretty specific. And data, including custom data and plugin, needs to flow easily from stages to stages. And Sumatra provides tools to deal with every single aspect of that. UI can be fully customized. You can define your own screens and layout, wrap presets and scripts into toolbars. You can also customize the interface to adapt it to the level and the expertise of the user that you target for it. Each tool can be customized that way. And this will definitely reduce the cost of training when you are an intense production project, when you need to hire people pretty much from the street. Also in Sumatra, you've seen intense use of control panels and property set. Custom properties and property set can be defined from within the interface and are treated exactly as regular Sumatra properties. They can be animated using expression in panel just like any other native property. Sumatra can be fully automated, and any command can be wrapped into a script using a standard scripting language such as VB script, JavaScript, or even Perl, Python, or even more. There are different ways to enhance Sumatra functionality. You can use either scripting or the SDK. A little word about the Sumatra SDK. It allows you to implement your own objects, your own operators, and your own property sets. In Sumatra, SDK is not a specific layer that we've built for you, but we rather expose and share our internal tools. We've written some specific services to make your life easy, and actually our life easy as well. But fundamentally, we'll be gradually publishing all of our interfaces and exposing all of our tools for you guys. Sumatra will give you full and equal access to the performance of the platform. Finally, a couple of words about data, the data model. First, it has to be noted that not only Sumatra can read the entire Softimage 3D scenes, but you can also reuse selectively your existing digital assets such as models, animation files, structured key files, or PIC file. Also, Sumatra intensively uses the concepts of presets so that libraries of stuff can be created. Presets work for pretty much anything in the system, including objects, material, constraints, light, you name it. Also, very important, Sumatra can save sub-scene, enabling different people to work on a various part of the same scene or the same project. And the granularity of what defines a sub-scene is actually left up to you, the user. But in general, Sumatra workflow capability go way beyond its project management features or even the persistence features. Data of all granularity can be moved easily from scene to scene, from model to model, thus making it a truly nonlinear environment. So let's jump into the demo. Sumatra retains the legendary character animation toolset of its ancestor, Softimage 3D, and it takes it even further. We've been listening carefully to what you guys have been telling us, and we've incorporated your feedback into the product. Not only we incorporated the groundbreaking features that you were expected, but also we paid a lot of attention to the numerous details that can make you more productive in the day-to-day life. So, may I introduce you Marc Schoennagel, our demo artist today.
Thank
Marc,
you, sir.
you remember the Blues Brothers?
I'm sorry?
You remember the Blues Brothers movie?
Yeah, I sure have.
So you're on a mission from God to unveil Sumatra.
We're on a mission from God, of course. You know, before I get started, I just have one thing to say. You know, I've kind of been focusing on this and haven't really watched our demo reel and stuff as it's been through the rehearsals, but was there really a penis in there? That kind of, it's like, wow, that was kind of interesting. Anyway, there it is. There's my ugly mug, and there's Sumatra. This is going to be fun. What I want to show you today is really the next generation in animation tools. I got a chance to go to Montreal a few weeks ago, spend some time with the developers, and learn this package. So I'm going to try to show you the best of what I saw, the best of what those guys told me. I think the best way to start out is just talk a little bit about the interface. First of all, it looks a lot like Softimage, I think, what we've all known, grown, and love. We've got our two toolbars on the left and right here, our 4 viewports. We don't have model, motion, animate, matter, I can't even remember them anymore. We just have model, animate, and render. Not that we've taken functionality away, but we've just cleaned everything up. Cleaning things up like getting rid of the get buttons or file save on the main command bar. We've got all these little good old standards window-like pull-down menus. This is pretty cool. We can go in here, file open, do all your database management here. We've got our project manager. This is pretty cool. Just a nice new way of looking at your different projects. I know some of this isn't too exciting, but those of you who have used our software for a while know that this is kind of important stuff. Just a lot better database management. Command mapping, really cool. Drag and drop your sticky keys, hotkeys, whatever you want to call them, just right here from your thing onto your keyboard. Pretty nice. Let's get on the more exciting stuff, I guess. Command panel, left panel, model, animate, and render. Good old standard stuff. We'll go through a lot of these tools as the demo goes on. At the bottom here, we've got our play controls, our timeline here. We can scrub through animation. It's our little multi-bot character, which we're going to use quite extensively today. Over here at the bottom right, we've got our animation panel. Here I can set keyframes if I like. I can remove keyframes using this keyframe button. I'll use that a little bit. Notice different viewing modes inside of our different viewports. Here I've got wireframes and shaded views all in one. We can set up all these different kinds of selectability in our viewports, so you select objects, they'll turn shaded, things like that. Down here, this is a very important part of Sumatra. Everything you do, every keystroke, every command gets registered in this little window. If I pull this up, you can see that I've already started futzing around. And this is where you basically can make scripts, you can make macros, because it does record every single thing you do. And you can turn anything into a button, which I'll demonstrate a little bit later. Here's our script editor, we'll go in there. Over here to my right, main command panel. Lots of neat little things are in here. We've got the ability to do layers. So I'm going to go full screen on this guy, and I'll pull up my layers. Now, we have different ways of grouping objects in Sumatra. You can group them together, and then they can share materials, share animation, things like that. You can also put them in layers. Anything can be in layers. You can have camera mixed with geometry, mixed with IK, whatever. And this just allows you to very easily toggle things on and off. So if I want to toggle just his blue shells, I call them, or maybe I want to toggle off the metal. Just by clicking these, I can also toggle their render visibility and also their selectability just by clicking on these layers. So it's a really nice way of grouping your animation and not having to futz with, selecting them and hiding them and all that, things like that. Over here, we have a new kind of selection model. Right now I'm in object mode, which means I can come over and basically select any object. We also have this here, which allows me to select just a certain type of object. So if I want to select just all the surface meshes, come over here, drag a rectangle around it, and now I've selected only my surface meshes. And pretty much all the different types of objects you can select like that. Again, just things to try to make your life a bit easier. A thing that I really like over here is our selection window. I can come over here and type in, say, right star, which is a wildcard, and it's going to select all the objects on the right side of his body if I've done a good job of naming them. And then you can see it replaces that with multi and tells me I got 16 things selected. Or maybe I'm just going to go star, arm, star, and I'm just going to select my arms. So just a nice way, again, of navigating and selecting your objects. Let's see, here we can open up property pages. You'll see me do that quite a bit. SRTs, no big whoop there, same kind of like we've come to use, gotten used to in good old soft. Local, global, this is how you translate local, translate global, translate locally in the viewport, translate based on an object's parent, its reference parent. Constraint, we're going to talk a lot about constraints today, some neat new things in here. And edit, I don't need to talk too much about that. The layout is completely customizable, and by that I mean I can set up different views. So here I've got what I call my character setup view. I've created these little icons right there, little render region icons, which we'll talk about, and all these little buttons, and I've actually got quite a few little ones here. Here I've got a little texture browser. These are really simple to build. Here I just hacked my command panel in half, moved it over, and added a browser, and I can actually toggle through different property pages. Well, I don't have any in there yet, but anyway, we could toggle through like so. And have these different little property pages. So again, really nice, completely customizable UI. So let's get into some little bit more of the meat and potatoes. Let's go ahead and go back to our character setup tab. And I'm going to go ahead and transform this guy, and we can see what we've got. We've got a little multi-bot, and it just kind of goes from a little standing humanoid position to his little doggy-like position. Take a look at the back of his legs. Note we got animated, oops, let go of my slider. We've got an animated bone in there. I'm going to show you how we do that. We can actually animate all of our IK chains, animate their lengths. What else do I want to do? Oh, property pages. This is pretty cool. If I go ahead and select my multi-bot and go into the selection, well, actually, you know what? I got a little button here that pull that up. See, handy little buttons. Pull things up. This is my rotation slider for the bones, and I'll grab one more. This is the bone length slider. Put this one right there. These little buttons right here are very useful. These allow you to pin your property pages. If I don't want property pages popping in over top of one another, I can pin them down and they remain locked in place on the interface. And you can see as I move these, we got all these little sliders. These sliders are really simple to set up. I'm going to set some of those up for you as well. And we can see if I pull this over a little bit, I've got the ability to toggle these sliders. All these are just animatable custom parameters. And pretty much anything, just like in Soft 3X, that can be animated, you can tie to a slider, whether it's a color, whether it's a shader, whether it's animation data, whatever. All right, so let's go ahead and just get a little, position our camera in here. Ooh, a neat little enhancement is the A key. The A key takes the best of the O key and the P key, orbit, and of course pan, and turns it into the A key. The A key allows you to zoom, it allows you to move, and orbit. Isn't that great? I don't know. I think that's cool. Oh, laugh it up. That's good. So I want to go and select all my surface meshes, and I'm going to show you something that I find very useful. Go ahead and grab this. Got all of our surface meshes selected. And if I go ahead and open up those properties for my geometry approximation, what does that mean? Well, I'll show you. Move this little panel over here, lock it down. If I go in here into my hardware display, and I kind of play with these sliders, watch the hardware change, the display change. I'm actually reducing the geometry of the model just by sliding these little sliders. This is really cool. You have a really high-res model, slide these little sliders down, get them down to, well, we can bring them way down to 0 if we want. If I draw a render region, hey, what's a render region? Rendering is no longer something that you do afterwards. Rendering is just part of working. At any time, you just draw a box and it renders. And it doesn't render in some, yahoo! You could also go into rotoscope mode with a ray traced rendered image. I mean, match lighting, lighting a scene right now with the rotoscoped image is going to be so much easier. You bring your background plate in, put your geometry over it, and you can now adjust the light. No longer have to let the compositor do that if you don't want to. You can do it all right there, ray traced compositing right there in the main interface. And in any module, even model or whatever, you know, it's all good. Okay, see these little lines underneath. When I go into composite mode, if I have my little my object selected, you can actually see the wireframes underneath. Well, notice that he's still rendered very smooth, even though I set these sliders down to 0, because we have the ability to actually toggle between hardware and surface level of detail. So if I go ahead and adjust these down to 0, it's going to re-render the region, but notice now we'll see very sharp edges there on the multibot as it re-renders, like so. This is really cool. Turn all your geometry down to very low res after you've modeled it, but it's still going to render as high of a level of detail as you tell it to. I can also click this length button. What this does is make it so if the camera is 18 miles away from your object, it's not going to render, it's not going to tessellate it to, you know, its maximum level. You can control just how much it's going to tessellate during the render process based upon the distance of the camera. Very cool, useful tool. Also things like displacement. If you put a displacement map on there, slide the slider and you'll see the displacement happen right on your wireframe model as well. Very cool. So let's go ahead and bring this guy back. I don't like the way he looks all silly like that. And I want to go ahead and draw another render region and show you something else I find rather neat, the ability to use presets. And you know what? Actually, I want to put this back on because I don't think he looks very good all sharp and angular like so. Gonna go into group mode. That's these little plus thing right there. That allows you to select a group. I've grouped all of these little materials into, or his little plates there into a group. If I go ahead and select those, they're all gonna get selected, and now I can drag and drop a preset. So if I wanna make, I don't know, my multi-bot a green bot or a red bot, drag and drop it, and immediately all those changes get propagated and it starts to re-render it. Notice it doesn't take long at all. There's our little multi-bot. He's kind of a, I don't know, kind of inspired by the iMac, I think. So we've got our lovely festive grape and orange and strawberry and nice little colors. Very good. So, cool. And let's see, I think that's gonna, let's get rid of the multi-bot for now and go on to a little bit of character setup. We'll just take a look at the multi-bot's arms, or arm, whichever. Just gonna show you some of the neat little IK enhancements that we've done. Some things I think you'll be happy with. So we've got his arm. He's been severed in some sort of a freak multi-bot accident. And we want to go ahead and turn off some of the level of detail on his arm. So I've created two layers, one that I call arm detail and one that I call base arm. We'll just go ahead, turn off the detail, and just for our viewing unpleasure, I'm going to turn off the grid and also turn off, or go to wireframe mode. Where to go? There it is, so that we can see everything proper. Oh, let's look up there. Very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw some IK. And we'll just go simple draw, 2D chain, doink, 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 doink. And I want to make it so that I can animate the length of this bone slider. You know, if I grab the effector, it's good old Softimage IK. Actually, it's got quite a lot of enhancements. Oops, I should probably get back into a proper mode of translating. Arg, view mode, there we go. Now I can move this around, just like good old Softimage IK. Position that back in there. Probably shouldn't have moved it. Anyway, I want to parent my little metal plates or Kevlar DuPont stuff. I don't know who makes the stuff, but it's good quality armor. Anyway, we want to parent that to the bone like so and like so. Right click. Oh, there, I'm making popping noises. And that's actually a good sound effect. Pop. Okay, there we go. So now if I back this up, and our IK will behave just as we expect it to. No big whoop there, right? So don't applause. Okay, good. Let's grab this bone length. And I want to just go ahead and select maybe the property for its bone length. Let's grab this page here. You can see pulling up these property pages, you can do it a number of different ways. Lots of ways of accessing your different tools in here. This little bone length slider, check it out. Whoopee! Hey, you know, this would actually work well on that commercial that was, or that little piece that was on the demo reel. Oh my, I'm on a roll. This is not even planned stuff I'm saying. All right, so I'm gonna lock this into place so it doesn't go away. And what I want to do is do a constraint so that this arm, remember how we saw on the main, the high-res bot, that plate was kind of moving along with it? To do that, I'm going to use a constraint. And I'm just going to group select this plate. And if I go here and click on constraint position, I want to make sure that I click this comp button. This will set a compensation on the constraint. This is awesome. You know, in good old Soft 3X, if I would constrain this guy to say this, let's zoom in, make sure I get it, right there to the joint on the bone, all that geometry would snap into the middle because the centers would be there and I'd have a really bad, ugly constraint. Well, now we can have compensation on any constraint. I can, if I zoom out a bit, we can use these sliders to set the compensation, but for this it doesn't really work so well for this particular piece of geometry. So what I can do is actually just grab it, move it over here. I can move the IK now, and it'll stick around there. I can grab this, position it back, like so. And now if I grab that bone length slider, which I've pinned, I can now animate the bone length, and that thing sticks on there quite nicely. So compensation constraints, really cool. I'm sure you're going to use them. Good. So anyway, let's go and do some more fun stuff. Going to turn on my little show icons, my first ever script, which turns on the blue cones of death. And I'm sure we all know what the blue cones of death are, right? The rotation limits so you don't get the gimbal locking thing on. Okay, good stuff. All right. So let's go ahead here, and we want to rotate this. Now, I was telling you this stuff was made out of some DuPont Kevlar. Well, it doesn't work well if it touches itself. It shatters, and that's not good. So what we want to do is set a rotation limit. So we're just going to move our bone into position right there, click on the set rotation limit, and look, we get this cool little icon. And if I rotate this down to, say, there, set the maximum limit, check it out, a nice little rotation limit pi icon. That's kind of neat. Ooh, this is fun. All right, applause. See, now look. Ah, can't do that. Nope, see, no, good. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on our arm detail. I bet I'm really big on the screen right now. Okay, so, oh, you know what? I probably should have made a third chain. You know what I can do? I can just add an IK bone. Ah, look at that. Cool, there we go. Add an IK bone. Isn't that nice and useful? So now we've got good IK right there on that other bone. Oops, I think I've rotated that somehow. Put that back. And you know what? I should probably parent that to here. So we'll just go ahead, turn off that, parent that to here. Now we've got, ooh, I popped again. So grab this like so, move this, and now I've got IK on there. But you know, it'd be also good if I could break these chains so I could have two chains on one. No problem, just break the IK chain. And now we've got added a chain, broke the chain. Very cool. Just good little enhancements to our already kick butt UK. IK, UK. I don't know. You know, I said kick butt, but after seeing, again, the thing on the demo reel, I could probably do a lot of swearing and get away with it up here, huh? Okay, let's see. We want to draw an interpolating NURBS curve. All of our curves are now NURBS. So you don't have to, you know, you got just lots of NURBS. So we go, we just draw NURBS like so. And I'm just going to do something really dopey and put this on a path. But instead of using a good old pick path, I'm going to show you something kind of neat. We're going to use a path constraint. So I'll come up here and constrain it to the path like so. Boink, pops up on like that. And now I can show you something very cool. I'm going to go ahead and turn on our show constraints. And right now we can see there is the center of our constraint. If I pull this over like so, I can animate the path, the level down the path. So now if I say set a keyframe here, like so, I'm popping a lot. Set a keyframe there, and if I move forward a little bit, maybe I want to translate this down that far down my timeline, click on like so, move over here, and we'll go here. I set a keyframe at the last frame. I don't know if everyone saw that, so that's why it keeps going back. So anyway, we'll go. But you know what? I could use the right button, which doesn't moves the timeline, but doesn't move the animation. So you know how like sometimes you set a key and you like move it, and then you set a key and it just snaps back, and you're like, damn it, and well, now you can just hold down the right key and slide it, and your animation doesn't update, and you can hit the keyframe button, and it just works the way it's supposed to, so that's good. So let's set a keyframe there. And let's also talk about this little animation widget now while we've got it on the screen. The animation widget is very cool. See how it's red there, right here? I'm popping all the time. There's this little green thing, so if we move this around, you can see that as I get on a keyframe, it'll become red. You can go back like that. Now, if I make a change to this, it turns yellow. What that means is, on this frame, I have a keyframe. But I've changed the value that that keyframe is set for, so it's telling you now it's yellow. If I move that, nothing's going to happen. Green means there's no keyframe, and of course, red means there's a keyframe. What do these numbers mean? This is what I think is pretty cool. This is the real-world time, and you can also toggle this into frame mode, of how far along the path your animation is. So right now, we're at 0.63 seconds. We're at 1.4 seconds. Really useful information. Seriously. Let's see. That kind of sounded sarcastic. Let's see. Let's go to shaded view. And I can animate, what else? I think, was there anything else I wanted to show you on this? Oh yeah, let's do a little constraint. We can compensate that as well. So let's go ahead and move this off. And now we can actually see another little vector there. Oh yeah, another thing, up vector is automatically on all constraints, so you don't have to actually set that separately. Anytime you set a constraint, click the up vector button and you can set an up vector constraint on the same constraint. And there we go, compensation and a weird keyframe animation because I got a little spastic. Cool. Next, let's go ahead and open up our little multi-bot guys. And we've gone ahead and turned our little multi-bots into little dancing little guys. So what we're going to do is pull up our multi-bot bounce page. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go to a different view, and I can show you how we can actually embed these property pages right into the layout. So we'll go to this little layout, and here I'm going to set my, well, let's set this to be our layer control, and it pops in there, so I'll lock that. And now in these little air bins here, I've got my Explorer, I've got my textures. There I can go back to my layer at any time. And in here I want to put a property page for this guy's bounce. And this is the page I set up. I'm going to show you how we set these up. Here I can set them up to bounce. If I play this, put it on a loop and play, I can set this guy to bounce, change his frequency, kind of give him some phase. And you know what I'm going to do is make some copies of this. So I'm going to make a little dancing little scene here. So we're going to use the duplicate brush, make sure we select this guy, and we'll just duplicate, make a few of these. Now right now, it's taking a sec to copy them, because what it's doing is it's copying all the property pages, all the animation, all the expressions, the geometry, everything, and we, actually, you know what, I should have just let it play, because it would have continued to play. Oh, I did, there we go, cool. So there they are, they're all kind of dancing. I can crank this up. Oh, look at that, we've got one solo little guy. You know what, I think this needs some music. So let's go ahead and play some music. And we'll go ahead and, you know, kind of make these guys dance around a bit. Do. Give us some frequency here. I'm not getting any music. Oh, there we go. Now am I getting music? Bummer. Oh, there we go. Yay. So you can make them kind of sway around a little bit. How do we make these little sliders? It's very easy to do. Check this out. We'll go ahead, and if I go to, let's do this. Let's go to my character setup page. And I'm going to pull up a bounce page, and I'm going to create a custom parameter. So just go ahead, select one of these guys, say parameter, create custom parameter, and I want to give this a name of, say, headbang. Right? Click on OK, make this a slider from 1 to 100. I should have started my music a little later. And there we go, now we've got a slider on there from 1 to 100. What do I want to attach that to? Well, let's go ahead and grab just one of these guys' little head here, and if I rotate this in Z, get a little headbang in motion, right? So let's bring up the function curve editor. So to do that, I will simply get his transformations and right click on the Z rotation, since again, that's what's gonna give us that good little headbang action, right? And if we go now to expression, or set the expression rather, I can come here and type in an expression. So I'm gonna give this, first we'll just give it a good old sine wave. Oh, that was weird. It's the good old Windows chime. Times 10, like so, apply this. And if I play, oh, you know what, I should turn off all the bounce. Oh! So you can't really tell he's headbanging, but we could go, I should have done that first. There's a little graph of the function curve, that's cool, but I want to tie it to the slider. So how do you do that? Very simple. Back up here, oh, look at that, we've got a multi-line function curve editor now. Isn't that nice? Close that up. I would have applauded that one, but that's just me. So I want to select my little guy here. And tie that to an object, and the object I want to do is find it somewhere in here, my multi-bot, open up the bounce page, and down here I've got my frequency, so I'm going to tie that in there, and in here, actually, boy, I'm really screwing up here. Put this in here. I want my frequency there, and on the bottom I want to multiply that by the headbanging slider. So let's get that slider, simply come down here and I lost it. There we go. Pull this up and tie it to the headbang. So there we go, like so. And now I can apply that. And if I move these sliders, we get one guy with a wicked little headbang. But anyway, so let's kind of, oh, I ran out of music. You know what that means? It means we need some new music. So let's go here and play this. I got all off track. Oh no. I don't think we want that. I don't think we want that. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I gotta play it. No wonder they weren't moving. Oh, geez, look at them now. Oh, man, this is getting crazy. Okay, so that's a little out of control. Oh, man. Thank you, you're too kind. You know, I did that the first time. It was a whole lot better. I had them all dancing to Underworld, and then you click Ricky, and they would shake their head no, and I just screwed it all up. Anyway, there we go. Mark, you want to talk about the animation mixer real quick?
Thanks.
Sure.
Great job, Mark. As you can see, part of up north in Montreal, we have our social activities, and part of it is sponsoring raves. So we're very pretty much into doing a raving and jamming option to Sumatra. So you see the beginning here. So as you've seen, Sumatra provides you with a very deep animation toolset. Gives you control over virtually any aspect of your character, pretty much anything. And there is a lot more than we could pack into a 15-minute demo. You've seen we've improved the workflow in the access quite a bit. The combination of the traditional Softimage workflow and features and the Sumatra architecture will give you tremendous productivity improvement. So now, I would like to move on to the next part of the presentation, which actually is something that's never seen before, which is a revolutionary approach to character animation. This is the now famous non-linear animation. So, Mark?
Oh, hang on a sec. I've decided to make a change here.
Okay.
Hang on. It's all good.
Take your time, man.
Yeah, I know.
So, you want the red pill or the blue pill?
That's not a crash sound. I just want everyone to know that. Just...
You want the red pill or the blue pill?
Do I want the what? I want the red pill.
Okay, he's got the red pill. We're in business.
It's always good to load the wrong scene and get it all set up and then go, dope. Okay, so we can actually flip me on if we want. I'm just going to shut up my camera real quick. There we go, bot cam. I was creating a little layout. So what I've done here is actually just move my timeline to the middle here so I can, am I up? Yeah, cool. So I can scrub through real easy. The animation mixer is really, really cool. So I'm gonna do my best to show you just how cool it is. So to start off, I'm going to drag a track into here. Now this is my global timeline track. I've dragged my scene route into here. I've got 4 animation tracks. I can add as many tracks as I want. And I'm gonna go ahead here and just lock this down like so. And now if I open up all my mixer tracks, I've got a bunch of stored animation poses for this guy. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how we actually make these poses. A bunch of them here, so maybe we'll just grab one. We'll grab this little dancing track. Maybe he was listening to some La Vida Loca. Did you guys hear the scratch in there? I actually went and I put a big scratch in there and had to ruin a needle on my record player. But whatever. Anyway, play this back. So we get a little guy dancing. He's doing a little boogie. And let's just say I wanted to, I don't know, maybe cycle that. I'll grab this down here, pull it, and nope. I moved it. Jittery hands. Grab this in the bottom, pull it out, let go, and now we've got ourselves a perfect cycle. I'll play this back. We can cycle in entire... What have I done? Gordon, I'm not a very good demonstrator. Let's do this again. Pull this out. There we go. Now we've got our cycle. My bad. Play this back, and now we've got a nice little cycled animation. Very cool. If at any time I want to scale that, I can actually scale just the one segment or scale the entire cycle. Now I've got a much faster dance. Don't worry, this gets much more exciting. So there he goes, doing his little boogie. Cool. And I don't know, let's blend him to, I don't know, maybe he's headbanging too. So we'll go ahead and put that there. And if we look, we got a little headbang action there. But notice we got some weird little pop. Boink, right? We need to make a transition. Very simple. Click on our track, use the blend tool, transition from this curve to this curve. And now we should have a nice, smooth animation. Very good. And let's see, what's he's headbanging there? Oh, I know what I want to do. This is a good little thing we can do. Let's delete all this. And let's get Dance B, pop him up there. And let's go ahead and get our little jump action here. This is another good one that I like. So we've got a jump, and it's going to pop and pop again, actually. Well, it didn't pop too bad there. But look, you won a Toyota. Yay, I got a Toyota. Whee! All right, so we want to transition, do a good little transition there too, so transition from here to here. And now what I want to do is actually time warp this. I want to freeze him in time right there. I should pan this out a little bit. There. So what we're going to do is go ahead, turn on our time warps, or turn on our visual cue for time warps. I guess they're already on. And go ahead and add a time property to this clip. And here I can scale time, I can clip time, but I really want to do a warp since this is kind of neat. So let's find out right about where he was paused, right about there. Spot in the middle, we'll just go ahead and add a function curve there. We could pull up the big function curve editor if we want, but we'll do that later. And now I've actually gone ahead, activate it, boom, we get this little red little slider in there, which means we've got a time warp. So now we're going to play this back, and it transitions into a time warp. He's really happy about that Toyota. I'm not getting paid money by them, nor do I drive one. And there we go, he's stuck. Very good. Okay, so that's kind of the idea of mixing. I actually didn't show you one thing, which is the blending, but we'll do that with the lip sync part. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. And I want to show you something that I find very, very powerful about the mixer here. I'm going to go get a neutral pose. Drop this up like so, just kind of snapping back into its default pose. Now I'm going to go and import a scene from good old Soft 3X. All right, and let's see, if I go here, I'm going to put it in here, and you can tell it's 3X because, well, there's the familiar 3X file structure. And here we've got a walk cycle of a character. This is Jaquwa. We're going to use Jaquwa in a little bit for the rest of the demo. And kind of snapped into the inherited 3X camera, so we'll go put it back into our camera. And here we go. We've got, well, we've got this, and you know, we've got a problem. She's like, well, she's twice his size and reversed, and she's stuck in, okay, that's a problem. So what we need to do is fix that. So first thing I'm going to do is selector, branch selector, and I'm just going to set the scaling. Since I've done this before, I know I've got 0. Help, I've been run over by a truck. 0.5. Why is numlock off by default? Who uses the arrow keys? Anyway, let's go ahead and spin that around 180 degrees. Okay, so there she is. Now she's at least standing next to him. And if I play this back, we can see we've got some good old motion on there. She's walking. This is motion capture data. We can open up the function curve editor if we want. There it is, motion capture data. Okay, this is all from Motec. And if I go ahead, go back to my camera view, notice what I've done here, by the way. I've actually embedded my animation mixer and a browser into my, my screen, so I can still get my 4 viewports right there. Just customized layout, kind of fun. So what I want to do, I want to turn all of those function curves into an action. And an action, again, is one of these little doojimabobbers, these little trays that you can slop up on there. So to do that, select your object, and just come in here and say Store, Transformation F-Curve. So all the F-curves that are transforming, I want to group those into an action. So I click on this button, and we'll see it pop up on there in just a second. Right there. So now we've got stored F-curve pose. I'm going to rename this to walk from 3X. Yeah. And now if I play this back, well, we've got nothing. Because what actually happens is it strips all the function curves off and stores it as, again, as that little action. I, of course, can go backwards as well. I haven't lost those curves, but they're just taken off. So now I could either continue to keyframe her if I was doing keyframing animation and store a big bank of poses, or just do what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take this walk cycle, and I'm going to drag it up on here. Now, the action that I'm working on is with the multibot. So if I play this, and it's been applied back to Jaquwa, just like we had it, because all the bones and all the names is according to Jaquwa. Well, now I want to apply that to the multibot. So I'm going to actually go ahead and turn off my 3D geometry, turn on my chains, and show you why this is such an amazing tool. I've got 2 bone structures here. Jaquwa has shoulder blades. Mr. Multibot doesn't. Mr. Multibot has a wimpy little single spine because he's made out of metal. Jaquwa has a flexible spine. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to map from one to another? Well, we've come up with this thing called a connection template. So let me go ahead, turn back on our 3D geometry. And if I go here into my template, I'm going to create a connection template. And now if I go and edit the template, it's just basically a little file that says, take bone that's named Bob and reply it to bone that's named Multibot or something. I don't know. And if we open this up, I've got actually a connection template already made. If I validate this, it checks it, makes sure everything's correct. And here we go. We've got the left shoulder blade attaching to the head of the multibot, the right shoulder blade attaching to the head of the multibot, because again, there was 2 shoulder blades that didn't exist. So that action that was actually on her shoulder blades has to be put somewhere. So we'll go ahead and close this up. And now if I take that same little action, and by the way, you don't have to grab it out of the Scene Explorer. I could just right click here and say load source and get myself the walk cycle from there. It's the same thing. Oh, look what happened. It goes through the connection template, all right? So here's the explanation. The data is on the action, and it's on the action with all the information from Jaquwa. It now goes through the connection template, figures out how to rename all the bones, and then it gets applied to the multibot. So this is still really animation from Jaquwa, but because we made that connection template, look, now we've got the multibot moving. But if we look, we've got a problem. Remember how I had to scale and rotate and do all that stuff? Well, it now has kind of screwed up the multibot. So we need to make another template, and this template's called a value map template. This will allow us to actually tweak and offset our different animations. So I'm going to go do a connection, or a value template rather, and I've created a little button here which will set all my values. Go in here to the value template, and this is all this is. It uses kind of a lingo like this. Take the rotation in Y of the multibot, this value, whatever that value might be, and subtract 180. What does that do? Well, it just spins it around in Y, right? So things like moving it up 10 units to get it centered in the world, that's this little command right there. These right here are kind of fixing the shoulder blades because we don't want all that animation on the multibot because he doesn't have like sexy hips and stuff like Jake Wood is. So this is the value map. Now if I delete this track, grab the same one from down here, pop it back up on our mixer, check it out. This is pretty damn cool. We've got animation. Thank you. Motion captured animation, turned into a function, ran through a connection template. The bones aren't the same, and now we're mapping onto there. So that's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete these guys, and let's go ahead. Boo. To quote Bill Gates at Comdex a while ago, that's why we're not shipping yet. Anyway. Let's see. Well, I wanted to do something, but we can get on with that. I'll do it. Let's get the mixer demo again, because this is kind of neat. Darn, I wish that wouldn't have happened. Poop. Oh well. Can't win them all. Anyway, so we're going to go back to the mixer, and if I go in here, got the same little view out, layout thing. Let me get back to my full viewport like so, and turn this into my camera. And now we're sort of right back where we started, but we lost Jacob, but that's okay. We don't need her anyway. So we'll turn on the doggy. What's the doggy? Well, the doggy is a group of chains. He's like so. And there he is. He looks completely different than the multibot, but he shares the same naming convention. So I don't actually have to create a connection template or a value map, but I'm going to take this information, all this function curve data, and kind of do the same thing. And we'll go here to store, and we'll just store our transformation function curves. And now I should be able to open up the doggy and find a nice little, oops, let me turn on all my nodes. I should find in my mixer area a nice source for my doggy stored pose. So if I go and, let's see, add a track. Let's go back to my scene root real quick. Get my tracks back up there. Good. And now if I take, let's take the pose of the dog. Where'd he go? Right here. Drop it on the timeline. Now we get little multibot snapping to the dog. And maybe we'll make it go from the dog. Let's get a little neutral pose here. Oh, we'll just use the right click here. Get a, where's that load source? We want a little neutral pose. And we want that to go to, I don't know, load source. Can we put maybe to the dance? And we'll make some a blend from there. So select this blend transition tool from here to here to here. And now if I end this mode, click on play, the multibot should transform, walk away, and I don't know, start to dance, I guess. So anyway, that's kind of neat. Again, changing bone structures, it's really easy. This is a really powerful tool. You can take all of your greatest walk cycles, all that stuff, store it as presets, store it in here, and apply that to any character you do in the future, just using some simple connection templates and value maps. So that's kind of the animation mixer. Want to bring Marc out one more time and talk a little bit more, and then we'll do a little bit more for you. So Marc.
Thanks, Marc. Well, we actually, Motec was kind enough to distribute you actual flipbooks of the Jaqua walk cycle. It's very important because with Sumatra, building and reusing animation is finally straightforward. Nonlinear animation will allow you to be a lot more creative and achieve better results in a fraction of the time. As you know, the process of creating is fundamentally iterative, and Sumatra will allow you to add, mix, and match layers of motion, layers of detail on top of each other until you reach what you were looking for. There are also a couple of more down-to-earth reasons why nonlinear animation is such a breakthrough. When you need to turn around the kind of volume that are required by TV series or games production, Sumatra will give you the necessary flexibility to reuse all of your digital assets and keep your costs down. So now I want to turn it once again to Marc Schoennagel for a more in-depth demo of modeling capabilities, shape animation, lip sync, and of course, rendering. Marc?
Yes. Cool. All right. Here's Jaqua, and she's been brutally wounded. So she's got a nice big hole in her. I'm going to show you some really cool tools, how to make a seamless character, which normally would be sort of difficult. We've got a bunch of geometry here, things like this, all NURBS going in different kind of areas like so. And I'm going to go and use my freeform selection tool. I want to only select curves. And to do that, I want to use the freeform tool, which is kind of lets you draw these little squiggles. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this, grab this first little curve, and going to move over here so I can see. And let's see, I want to loft, surface, do a loft, and just go ahead, extrude that like so. And we create a nice piece of geometry. Very cool being able to select like that. And so now if I go ahead and freeze this, we'll just say effect freeze the operator stack, like so, turn off all the modeling relation on that. We now have ourselves a nice little piece of geometry in there. I've created this little button called head parts. What that does is just select all the NURBS objects that are going to make the head. And I'm going to use a really neat little tool called the SCM, the Surface Continuity Manager, which I couldn't even say for a long time. If I go ahead and click on Assemble, very simple tool, click like this, and just like that, it creates a brand new piece of geometry. We'll call this head, and close this up. I can now move this off, and we've got a brand new piece of geometry. So here's the old one. Let me go to rectangle selection mode. There it is, the old geometry made up of different components, the new geometry made up of one nice solid mesh. What I can also do is, if I want to, with this guy selected, I can go and still see all the different parts. If I click on face, I can see all the components that make up that geometry. Very cool. So you can still kind of go in there and modify it. It's kind of like a curved network, just pieces of things that are locked together. You can texture across them, but we're going to do even more than that. So let's go back and turn that off. Let's go to just good old selection mode. So what I want to do is move this to a new layer. So let's go here to our layers, get rid of this old guy because we don't need him anymore. So we're going to toggle to our layer called head parts and just go ahead and move this object to our new layer. So that's how you do that. Very simple, just kind of navigate these layers. And I'll go ahead and turn off my geometry layer. Oh, that's neat. Look at that. Whack. Turn off our goggles. I think I'll leave that. And maybe transform this. You know, I want this back to like default position. So I could come in here and type like zeros and ones, or I could just come in here and say reset all transform, and it snaps it to 0. Kind of a nice little thing. Those handy tools. Okay, so now that we've got this thing back into shape, I want to turn on my grid. And I'm just going to show you a quick little deform demo while we've got it. We want to make her go underwater, so she's going to have to wear a nice little cute little swimming hat. So I've got a grid, no big whoop, and I'm just going to deform it onto her head. So if there's my grid, my good old Explorer. And what do I want to do? I want to deform. That's what I was up to. So we'll go to, where's it at? Deform by a surface. And I'm just going to click on the head, click on there in the Explorer. We can do as well. Select objects, very easy in there. And now what I want to do is go into my constraint. You know how in 3X you always have to have all your deforms based upon the Y-axis, and that's really annoying. Well, if you got now this, you can just constrain it to the deformer, and it snaps on like so. Very nice. And this isn't even BS. This is exactly how it works. Now what I can do is scale it. So now I'm scaling it on X. Using these sliders, I can position it like that. Oh, look, she's one of like Mr. T if it was gold. I'll just kind of snap that up like so. But actually, I want to go and unhide a curve, which is in there. And I want to fit it right to that spline right there. So I'm going to get it close, and I'm going to use a fit. Hold it around like that. Remember, this started out as a grid. So you just need to tell it what boundary, which side of the grid do you want to extend to the curve. It's not, really intelligent all the time, just 99.999% of the time. Anyway, do that, and it automatically snaps like so. Cool. And if I freeze this one more time, now I've got this new piece of geometry locked in there. I can modify this surface even further by using the clean tool. Who needs all this heavy geometry when we can use the super duper clean tool and clean it up just like that? Now she's ready for a swim. Anyway, go ahead, turn off that, turn off that, turn off that, and there we go. Okay, so now what we want to do is let's go and unhide some skeletons. So I've got this here, show nulls. And basically what I've got here is some face animation, just using some general skeletons. Maybe I want to zoom in. We'll go full screen for a sec here. No, it's not Pinhead from Hellraiser. It's generalized skeletons in there. And I've basically set up, well, I didn't do this, but Chinny set up some very cool little face shapes using general skeletons. So now to envelope this, very simple. Just go here. We'll go back to the main view, grab this, and we'll say, got my little null here that selects all the chains. So we'll select the envelope, go into our animate tools, and tell it we want to envelope. Set the envelope to this guy right there. Boink, lock that in place. Wait for the assignment to happen, and that's fine. We'll just keep it like so. And now if we go full screen, let's show our different weights. There's our weights on there, so you can see nice color coding. I'm not going to show you the paint tool. We saw that last year, painting weights. We can do all that still, no problem. Just a different way of looking at our weights. If I go ahead and turn off those clusters and move, we can see we've got now facial shapes on there. Let's go ahead and actually hide those skeletons. Get rid of those so we can see that a little bit better. And if I zoom in, I want to show you, let's get to a little problem area. I think number 4 illustrates it best. Okay, this is cool. This is actually what's really going to happen. Notice we got this little, well, she looks Bjorn. So many Trekkie fans out there. And she's got some little, I don't know, some eye problems. So we're going to go ahead and select this. Watch this. It's going to magically disappear. And we'll go into our model surface mesh. Remember, we assembled this using the surface continuity manager. Now we're actually going to apply the continuity manager. Amazing. All that stuff's gone. It's really, really cool. So now we've got some amazing stuff there, right? Pretty cool. If I go ahead and actually show my skeletons again, I can grab this null and maybe go here to where her mouth is open, pull this like so. Do that, get some really good animation. And again, these are all made out of chunks, groups of animation. So that's pretty cool. Now what I'd like to do is go ahead and plot this. I want to turn these into actions. Remember in the animation mixer, we had that little list of actions. I want to turn all these facial shapes into actions so that I don't have to deal with keyframing, effectors, and general skeletons. So to do that, we'll just select the skin, and we'll go to our plot, and I just want to plot shapes. So it's going to go through, it's going to ask me my starting number, frame 1, and the last frame is 17. I've got 17 phonemes on here, 17 different facial shapes, like so. It's going to record all that, like that, good. And now I can actually go ahead and just get rid of those nulls. So somewhere in here I've got a delete tool, which is going to delete all my skeletons. I'm going to show you how all these little buttons work too, so don't worry. Bad phone, bad, bad, bad. Okay. Was that about the phone or about the tool? Because look, I have no more animation left. So why did I lose all the animation? Well, because it's now stored as poses, or actions, just like we had when I took Jake's walk cycle, ripped all the animation out of her, turned it into good old little poses. If I go here, we won't pull it up there, we'll pull it up in the animation mixer. So let's go minimal screen, turn this into the animation mixer. And now if I go and drag up my scene root on here, like so, doink, doink, open this up, I can now take a look at all my different sources. So there they all are. Every single frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 17, has been renamed into a very cryptic thing called envelope weight cluster shape animate action. So what I've done is I've created a script that's going to rename all these, but this isn't a big deal because basically if you work like this all the time, if you decide to just set up all your phonemes at frame 1, just keep a script that automatically renames them for you, and you just have to do it once. So to do that, let's actually go up here and find, where is it at? Somewhere down here. Well, actually, I don't know what I want to do. I'm getting a tight shot, I think. Cool. Let's open up. Let's just do it. Well, we'll just run the script. I'll show you the script. If I edit the script, there's a script. I don't want to save that. The script is just something like this. It says, set the value of envelope weights, blah, 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 to smile. So this just goes and renames all these things. That's all these buttons do. It's just executing a bunch of commands. So now if I run this tool, rename, all those shapes have been renamed. Now if I go to my load sequence, there they all are, all nice and changed. So now what I want to do is go ahead and turn this right here is an animation track. What I want to do is turn this into shape track and audio track. So we'll come over here, and I've got a little preset that does that. We support 3 different kind of tracks: shape tracks, animation tracks, and audio tracks. Keep in mind that it's not just function curves we're dealing with. All those jumping robots, those are all driven by expressions. Those could have all be turned into actions. Any animation that you do, it's not just function curves. It's any animation, expression-driven, channels-driven. However you drive it, you can turn it into an action. So what I want to do is, well, we have local and global time. I should point that out. If I say make this negative, you can set stuff in, I don't know, some people like to work in negative spaces, which is kind of neat. I'm going to go ahead and load up a source, an audio source, like so. So here I've got my little audio track. I can position it around. And the global time is different from the local time because you can create basically containers of movement that you can then position around on a local timeline. So no big whoop, but let's go back, set that to 0. And now I can come over here and play this. Actually, do I have audio going? Do we have audio on the machine now? There we go. Cool. Play this back. Well, you can't really hear that. So what we're going to do is switch to RT mode. RT stands for ready to, no, stands for real time.
It's
Play this
not
back.
who's alive, it's who's living.
There you go. So there we got a nice little audio track on there. And I can begin now to do my lip syncing. So now I've got all my little phonemes right there, very handy, right at my fingertips. And maybe the first thing I want to do is pop up, I don't know, let's see. Go right here, load source, iBig for the its. We'll put this here at the beginning. And extend this maybe a few frames. And, okay, actually, you know what? I'm running out of time. But, well, that's all right. Let me do a couple more. We'll add another source. We'll add a rest pose. And we'll position that under here. Because we want to be able to mix between these so we don't have such harsh kind of changes. And we'll add one more up here, and we'll make that the O. Load source, get the O, put that in here, and maybe scale, bring this over to here. And now, what's kind of neat, if I go, let's get her nice little camera view, like so, shade this up, there. You should have, okay, so we got some animation on there. Now they're not translating, we haven't created any kind of translation curves, but we can do here, if I right click in here, we can bring up the weight mix editor, and I can control exactly, if you don't want to trust the, the auto translation tool, you can control exactly how much of the mix each slider is giving it. And let me actually get it on a shape where we can see that. Okay, so if I want, I can give it more O, or I can give it more rest, whatever, to really kind of massage that lip sync exactly the way I want it. And actually, what I'm going to do here is just go ahead and delete these. And I kind of, as I was rehearsing, realized I'm going to run really long. So I've created this little thing that is going to add all my shapes for me. There we go. Isn't that nice? What a great little tool. So now what I want to do is just simply blend between all these. So I'll say blend transition tool from this one to this one to this one to this one, down to here, and then up, down, this one, and here. And my mode, you can see we've got all our nice little transition tools. Play this back. Maybe go full screen.
It's not who's alive, it's who's living.
Okay, and obviously if we render that out, we'd have really nice animation. Very cool. That's kind of the gist of how you can do lip syncing now in Sumatra. Really nice way. I have all those little things, kind of just stick them on there and move along. Now what I want to do is actually do something really neato. We're going to switch to a different computer. And the computer is actually behind me because it's so top secret that it can't be shown. It's in fact an 8 processor, that's right, 8 processor Intel Pentium 3 Xeon 550 prototype that the fine folks at Intel have provided us. And it renders with about 4,400 megahertz of rendering power. Isn't that great? It's almost like having superhuman powers. That's what we were kind of talking about as we were creating all this stuff. What's really neat here is Mental Ray, of course, is the underlying rendering engine of Sumatra. So anything you do is truly distributive rendering. We're using all 8 processors. I can position this texture around on here. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because we're going to actually showcase a lot of this at the actual show floor. So make sure you stop by, and we're going to do a complete rendering demo, show you exactly how this stuff was built. What I've got here, I've got a preset that's just going to lock her scale into position. But I do want to show you some of these neat little nodes that we have now. This one here uses the mixer. Now I've got 2, actually I should do this first. I've got 2 pieces of, 2 texture maps on her. One's a specular map, which I'll pull over here and just attach to the surface. And there it is. You can see it's kind of a wacky kind of a, well, I don't know what you'd call that. And then we can go ahead and just reconnect the 2 together. And again, this whole mixer demo is going to be really showcased at the show floor, so don't worry. If you come back and see that. Open up this mixer thing. We can now mix between however many textures you want just by setting up one of these little render nodes. So here I'm going to do maybe multiply. So instead of just mixing those 2, we're going to multiply them together. Maybe I want to use a difference. So these are just your good old standard Photoshop style operators, and that one's kind of probably pretty dark. But what we want to do is just do an overlay, like so. And if I go, let's kind of reduce this down a bit. Let's go full screen. Really take a look at how pretty that is. 4,400 megahertz. It just doesn't get any better. Look, you can almost like move this little sun interactively. No, move. Hey, move. Oh, I should probably move like that. Turn on our rotations. Pull that around. Whee! Whee! It's just too fast. Cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll finish with Jacob. This head, by the way, is the exact same head. I was going to actually do it on the other machine. This is the same head. All that surface continuity stuff, same head. And these eyes are actually individual objects, so you can texture map across multiple objects now, no problem. You don't have to, it's just nice. Just project it. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up another scene, and we're going to open up our underwater apartment, which is where Jaquan and the multibots live. It's underwater. It's not like an apartment that fell in the water. It's actually some kind of futuristic little, well, you'll see. It had to be explained to me, and it was cool. It's like, all right. The guy who designed this, Michael Eisner, he built it out of cardboard, these little pieces of cardboard. It was like, this is the underwater apartment. It was like toothpicks, literally toothpicks and pieces of paper. I'm like, Michael, you can't use that, man. No one's going to know what an underwater apartment is. So this is the cooking show portion of the demo, where I've just got little presets, and I'm just going to turn on values because, again, I just want to show you. We've all seen Twister, I think. This is a cool caustics demo, and there we go. Okay, nothing's on right now, just some base default materials. And I want to go, and first I want to add global illumination. Doesn't take long to process at all, especially when you have this many processors, but it doesn't have to generate any kind of wacky maps. So what I've got here is, I believe, about 100 photons, or 100, if you go to my photon count, yeah, 100 photons. So there's a light source in the middle of the scene. It's emitting lights. Because there's only 100 of them, it's creating this cool little disco ball effect, which is really actually not the desired effect. If I go ahead and crank up, make this 1,000, you can see now we're going to fire quite a bit more lights, and it'll start to diffuse. The higher the value, the more it's going to diffuse. I can come in here and type in, say, I don't know, 5,000, 50,000, increase the intensity. And in fact, I've actually got a little preset here, which is going to make it all nice and pretty with big values, which I was too lazy to type in because I don't know. Anyway. So now we've got global illumination on, and global illumination, by the way, in case you don't have a clue or whatever as to what that is, it basically takes light, it bounces it, it picks up colors off of objects, and then continues to bounce that light on a surface. So here we've got the water, and it's actually illuminating this part of the scene blue because we've got this blue thing on the outside. So where does the underwater apartment come in? Well, if I set this thing to be transparent, we should see some nice transparency in there. And now what I want to do is just blend between those two. And again, this whole demo is on the show floor, all actually noted out. So if I actually now turn on the blending between those two different things, I've turned on transparency, global illumination's on. Now to blend between those, click on the old blend button, and we should get a very nice look. Now this is using the same tool that I had with the face, where I was able to use the different kinds of blends. So if I go here to, let's say, blend with, well, the difference is always cool. So now we're going to take what was generated by the global illumination and what was generated by just the geometry, and it's going to take the difference of those, which is really dark today. Okay, that's all right. We'll use the, let's use the additive. So we'll add the two together. Full-on caustics are on right now. Global illumination's on, as well as blending these surfaces. And actually, the one that I want to use for the good old beauty shot is overlay. Mix those two together properly, and this should become a really pretty scene. It's nice, you can just kind of work while these tiles are rendering, even if you don't have 4,400 megahertz. It's just really cool. And I still want more because, you know, I want this to be instant, but when processors get that fast, we'll be there. Not like a commercial or tagline from some company. We'll get you there. That's beer or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. So there we go. There's the beauty shot. I want to do one more thing to the scene. Go ahead and turn off my region and go to a different view. I've got what I call the fireball view. Why? Because, well, she's shooting a fireball. There we go. So I'm very clever that way. Going to go ahead, increase the size of that, draw another render region. And this will start to render, and I'm going to turn on volumetric lights. And, you know, we've seen it render, so I don't need to see it again. So we'll click on Add Volume. And this is going to bring up the good old volume page, just like we have in 3X, the you know, FX Director, same kind of similar thing going on there. Close this up, and now we've got volumetric lights. Very pretty little lights coming through her fingers. So now we've got volumetric lights, global illumination, caustics, and 4,400. And lastly, just to make it really pretty, we won't let it finish, I'm going to turn on shards so that we see our shards. Well, it's got to start back in the middle to see the shards, don't it? Hey, add my shards. Did I unselect the light? I bet I unselected the light. No, I didn't. Well, I don't see my shards. All right, let's render that again. because we have, I'm not even going to say it, 4,000. Come on, little buddy. See, that's the tessellate. There we go. So now we'll get our final beauty little shot. There we go. That looks pretty. Cool. I don't know what else to say right now, so we'll just let it keep watching. I've talked enough. Oh, I know what I can talk about. See how this is all nice and beautifully anti-aliased? Well, in celebration of that, I'm going to wear my anti-alias hat. Woohoo! Let's see, what else can I talk about?
We're in December.
Hey, have you seen IPR? Good stuff. Let's see. Oh, let me load up a scene, open a scene. No, I don't want to open that scene. And I got one more thing to show you. For some reason, the machine with all the gusto seems to have a slow hard drive in it of some sort, but that's okay. So I got this little ball, and I'm going to go to a different little layout here. And I want to go ahead here and click on Particle, and then click on Create Point Cloud. And now I want to go and set this to be my emitter, and I'll play this back and put it in loop mode. And hey, oh, where'd they go? Hey, give me my particles. Gosh darn it, that was supposed to be a nice, cool little thing. There we go. Set the particle, and play that back. Hey. Oh, come on. All right, I've done something wrong because hang on, let me do this one more time. So we'll turn on a cloud and turn on our emitter. There. Right click, thank you. Yay, there we go. And I can set up, I don't know, where's all my thingy? Boy, I had a whole number of them on there before. Where'd they all go? Oh, see, now I got all red. Oh, I got to select my guy here. There you go. And I want to set the multiplier, get some more particles out of there, increase their lifetime, and see, this was just, I'm not familiar with particles yet. Okay, well, they're in there. We're going to have a really cool particle demo at the show, but they're in there and they're bouncing all around, and I just don't know how to set them. And, oh yeah, one more thing, because someone said, hey, Softimage is not going to have a schematic. It's in here. Come on, show me my schematic. There we go. Schematic, yay. Zoom in on the schematic. And now with the schematic, you can open up your property pages. So particles and schematics, some people were saying we weren't going to have those, so they're there. So anyway, there you go.
Good job, buddy. That was great.
Thank you, sir. I hope it was worth the wait. Marc, thank you. Your team has done a fantastic job. I really have to say, in all honesty, the 3 weeks that I've had playing with this software has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of things, but it's really powerful. It's going to rock. It's really going to do everything that these guys are saying. It's not a lot of BS. It really works, and it works really, really well. And this hat is really cool.